Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today.
I was looking at quilting recently, and I was looking at kaleidoscope quilts. When you put a kaleidoscope together, or kaleidoscope picture together in quilting, every section of that kaleidoscope is exactly the same pattern. Every section, exactly the same pattern. There's no variation on that at all. And so then that led me to believe that maybe I could cut that out of paper and put it on cards. Now, there's two variations in quilting. There's one where they have, I think, 6 sections, and another where they only have 4. And I thought, let's go simple, let's do 4. So we end up with a square that's in 4 sections. And I'll show you what I mean by that. 4 triangles that are all exactly the same size. When you put the longest side to the outside, it forms a square like that, which is really, it's a square cut diagonally across. So then I thought, okay, so if I had 4 of these and I cut them all with exactly the same picture on them, and then cut them diagonally like this, then that set of 4 would be the same, that set of 4 would be the same, that set of 4, and that set of 4. Then I thought, okay, so you could do this with scrapbooking paper, rice paper, napkins, any decorative paper you could do, as long as you had a multiple of 4. And you could make hundreds of these if you wanted to. So let's get started and I'll show you how. And the napkin I've decided to do this with is called Succulent Love. It's from NinnysNapkins. If you have a look in the description below, there is a discount code where you can receive discount for your first order from Ninny's. And I thought it was a particularly pretty colours in this napkin and very busy, lots of things happening. So if I divide, you know, that into 4 little sections, exactly that, 4 exactly that, then there's a lot happening in that little section. Now I cut my cardstock, my white cardstock, because I want white card behind a napkin. You could use rice paper, you could use scrapbooking paper, any decorative paper will do. I've chosen to use napkins today. So what I did is I cut out 4-inch squares and I stuck them to a roll of this double-sided adhesive tape. Okay, so that I then ended up with 4-inch squares with double-sided tape on one side. And then I went to my cutting mat and I used, I'll show you, I used a cutting mat, a metal ruler, and a little blade, because when I did it with scissors, the scissors kept getting glued up all the time, but I used this blade to cut off the excess double-sided paper. Okay, and I did that on all 4 pieces. Then what I did is I found 2 napkins exactly the same. Now this one I've already cut into, but I'll show you what I did. I found on this napkin that that corner and that corner were both facing in the same direction. On this particular napkin, there's a left and right at the bottom and a left and right at the top. So if I turned this around, that section on here would be facing exactly the same direction. So if I wanted to get 2 4-inch sections that were exactly the same, I had to cut just those 2 off this napkin and those 2 off the second napkin. And so that's what I did. I went and peeled off the tape, turned my napkin upside down, peeled off the tape and positioned it down onto the napkin. And I did that in the two diagonal corners because they were matching. And then I cut around the edge to get this. When I had 4 exactly the same, I cut them all on the diagonal, and what I did is I drew a line, because once you've cut it apart you haven't got a diagonal anymore. So I drew a line on the first diagonal, and then you can draw a line on the second diagonal if you want and cut it with scissors, or you can just place that down on a cutting mat and cut across there, and then come back and cut this one and this one, because it's already got the pencil line showing you where to cut. And when I cut all of those, I separated all the little pieces. So then I ended up with those 4 looking, see, exactly the same. On another section, these 4 look exactly the same but different from those. These 4 are exactly the same but different from those. Now you can imagine that's only one set of 4-inch squares, but you've got a whole napkin that's different in all different sections. So then if you cut another set of 4, you'll get a completely different random patterns again. So now we've got these 4 that look exactly the same. So now what I did is then I started looking at how can I put these together. So you can put them together as a square with the long side facing out, and you get that pretty pattern. Then you could put these 4 together with the long side facing out, and you get a completely different pattern. Then when you put these 4 together with the long side facing out, there's another pattern. And then you get these 4 and you've got another pattern again. So basically when you come to put the cards together, you'll use the same colour backing paper, same colour card, could even use the same writing or whatever you wanted, the same shape of card, because all the colours match. So whatever colour you pick for that, you could do for these as well. You could change it as well. But these would make nice little card fronts, either on the diamond or on the straight. But then I started fiddling a bit more and I thought, well, what else can I do with these little triangles? Now, you know how to put a card together, so this is not what this video is about. It's about how to make an embellishment to put on the front of your card. And this embellishment is a kaleidoscope. So now what we could do is look at what else can I do. How about I make some little squares Now you could put them all on the same card, or you could put them on different cards, but you can get those 4 patterns by putting those together like that, and that's interesting too. But then let's look at putting these 2 like this and make some sort of border. Now that could go from top to bottom or side to side across a card, and there you've got another interesting pattern. Wonder what the others look like if we do this, if we top and tail it. That's interesting. That would make a nice stripe across a card. Let's have a look at what else we can do. See what the other 2 look like as a stripe. There's another pattern, and look, it's got sort of like a zigzag going through that. And then we've got this one here. How about that? That's interesting also. I like that one. That's particularly, and that one, particularly interesting. So there's 3 options. Now I've got one more option. What if we turned them into like diamond shapes, but a wonky diamond, a wonky diamond? What you can do when you start playing with these things. What if I changed and put 2 from one and 2 from another set? I don't know, that it's not then a kaleidoscope anymore because they're not all the same, but those have got the same color in it. So I'm just wondering what that would look like if we put them together. Look at that. And they're not all the same. Okay, so let's pick that one and maybe these 2 this time. Now they've got to go diagonally opposite each other. So let's put that in there and that in there. Okay, still interesting. Then let's try that one and that one together, and we get those opposite each other. So that the ones that are the same have got to be diagonally opposite each other. Look at that. That's still pretty, and it still looks like a pattern. Okay, so then we've got these 2 left. Those 2, because I've mixed them up a bit. I haven't swapped with the same pair. I've mixed them up a little bit. So there is 4 more designs that make it a little bit different. Okay, it's endless what you could do with this, and that's only one corner, one 4-inch corner on 2 sides of each napkin. So we've got all of this left to go that we could cut up into 4-inch squares, and you'd get completely different patterns in the same color. See, you could probably put another cut, you know, those two that are diagonally opposite each other, here and here, and get another pattern again. Or you could do this here and this here, and on both napkins, and get another arrangement again. So if you wanted to send out, say, 20 thank you cards, and you wanted them all similar colors but not looking the same, this would be a great option. You could have so much fun with this. I'm just going to keep playing, I think. I can't wait to see what that looks like. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll put a couple of cards at the end to show you how I made them up and what they look like finished. But this, as I said, is not a video about card making. It's about making decorative embellishments for your cards, and a kaleidoscope picture is a great way to go. I realized while doing this that this could solve a problem too. If you got a lot of papers of the one design and you didn't use up as much as you thought you were going to, and now you've got a whole lot of this one design and you're thinking, I'm never going to use that. Well, maybe if you've got 4 of that one design, you could do this sort of thing and have a whole lot more patterns, because obviously when you picked it you liked the colors, you probably even liked the design, but now you've used it enough that no, you don't want it anymore. But what if you did this to it? Then you've got a whole lot more patterns. So this also could solve a problem when it comes to excess leftover papers. If you've got 4 of one design left over, you could do this to it and start using up those papers that have been sitting there looking at you, and you're thinking, oh, that was so pretty, but I've already used it. Well, now you could use it for this instead. Just a thought. Now, this is how much paper I had left over from the napkins after making 16 cards. So from this little bit of leftover, I could get another, on 2 napkins, I could get another 16 cards. So 2 napkins will give you 32 kaleidoscope patterns. Think about that. That's a lot of patterns. So I'm going to show you some of the cards I made. First of all, the square ones with the full kaleidoscope pattern. So there's 4 with the full kaleidoscope of 4 panels, all exactly the same. And as you know, you could have another 4 if you wanted, with the diagonals the same, but not all 4 the same. Haven't even done that, but that's possible. But then I made the square, the little squares up, and this is what I did with them. There's the 4 squares. I used it for a gift tag, and then 3 other cards. And as you can see, I've layered 1 or 2 colours behind, and different widths of layering. And these 2, I've got a stripe that matches the layers. Easy, quick. And as again, they're just note cards at the moment because I haven't decided what they're going to be used for. Now, the wonky triangles. Look at those 2. They're my wonky triangles. And what I've done is I've actually cut the front to match the wonkiness. And then the borders, you can have them as going on a diagonal. You can have them going straight up and down, or from side to side. All those ways look good. And then I had 4 left, and I thought I hadn't cut them exactly at the right angle. So when I went to fit them together, they didn't fit well. So I squared them off and I used them as corners so that I could have a verse through the middle that was a feature, and this was accentuating the feature. So, you know, and like there's so many more variations. If you had a square card, you could have one of these in each of the corners of the square card so that the middle was the feature rather than the diagonal. You could have cut these borders in half and had a small border top and bottom. It's endless what you can do with this when you start playing, but these are the things you could do with paper to make it go a long way and to get a different pattern from what you've already got. Use up those scraps and come up with some pretty alternatives. I hope you found that interesting. Now, this napkin I got from Ninny's Napkins, and she's got many, many more that would be able to be used this way. If you've already bought some napkins, and you know sometimes you'll buy multiples, and then you'll only use one and then think, what am I going to do with the rest of these? Well, if you've got 4 or you've got 2, depends on the print you've got on it. You might even be able to use 1, depending on whether you can get the same feature on 4 different sections. And you can use them up by creating a whole new pattern or whole new picture. So, Ninny's Napkins has got a standard flat rate for freight too, over $129.99 Canadian. Your freight is free anywhere in the world. So check out Ninny's Napkins and see what you think would make pretty kaleidoscope patterns. I'll leave you with that. Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this video today, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified of my new videos.